Right, so time to explain what PvP ranked matches and what PvP ranked actually is. So, in PvP mode, you'll notice there are two modes here. So there's casual, just for fun, and ranked, fight for spoils and for glory. Now, in terms of both game modes, they both actually give out rewards and EXP, and I do believe they give out at the same rate. Therefore, if you were just doing PvP on a casual basis, then if I were you, I would only do casual mode, because if you do ranked, yeah, you're going to stress out quite a lot, given the fact that, you know, your rank is basically based on that. Now, I was actually formerly private too. However, you can actually be demoted in terms of your rank depending on how many wins you have and how many losses you have. Obviously, the higher the amount of wins you have, the higher your rank is. However, the more losses you have, the lower your rank is. It is extremely difficult to rank up if you have some losses to your name. So as it turns out, so when I had like 6 wins, for example, I was at private 3. However, those 2 losses means that I get demoted to private 1. Because yes, you can actually be demoted between levels. My current rank is private 1, and I actually do have the private 2 rewards. So even though it does turn out that if you are promoted through your ranks and then you're demoted to the previous rank, you do get to keep the rewards. However, that being said, it looks like that this is actually based on ELO, not actually based on the amount of wins and losses you have. So I don't know if you need to, how well you need to beat your opponents, like what rank they are, or what ELO they are. But even though I actually triumphed a match against certain players, my private 1 rank didn't actually increase all that much because, well, I was playing like rank or level like 89s or whatever. And I actually don't know what the underlying circumstance about ELO is. And apparently there are some rumors that ELO is currently broken. So as of right now, I think the PvP season is quite difficult, because even if you have 1 loss to your name, it is very, very difficult to actually rank up through the seasons. Now, just to clarify my earlier statement, ELO appears to be the thing that determines what opponents that you get, whereas the amount of wins that you have actually determines your rank. Now, I'll go into this later on, but this is currently broken. Additionally, if you were to quit the game, you also are punished, so your rank does actually decrease, but also you're unable to actually create any matchmaking games for a minute. So here, you can see here, you are currently restricted from matchmaking for leaving the match. So if you were to leave the match, you would get an error message saying, the current match is in progress. If you were to leave this match without rejoining, right, you will be punished. And so from what I can see, if you were to leave the match before you lose, for example, that is the same effect as if you did lose, but it just wouldn't show up as a loss. So, for example, I did test this out. I know, bad of me. Before I was to lose, which I should actually have 3 losses, before that, I quit the game, and it did have a negative effect on my rank, but it didn't contribute as a loss. Now, I'll be totally honest with you, it really doesn't make a difference, and also you don't get the rewards from that match if you were to just quit. So, in my opinion, yes, it looks like pretty bad on your record, you know, 6 wins and 2 losses, but let's be real, a lot of these people here probably have a load of losses. Like, yeah, some people have like 8 wins or whatever, but when this leaderboard is fixed, because currently it is not fixed, it's like currently broken at the moment, then you'll see that a lot of people will have like some losses here and there. So in my opinion, it is probably more beneficial if you were just to accept the loss than to quit the game. Now, as I mentioned previously, to progress through the ranks, you just need to win a load of times. The only problem is if you have losses to your names, then it's harder to actually progress, so because it seems to get stuck. Now, obviously, this being in testing, it's called PvP season 0. Season ends in 91 days. You do have a couple of while to actually progress through the ranks. But if you're a person who struggles to play with other people and struggles to adapt to the environment, which I have to say is a lot of people, then getting through the ranks or getting through PvP season is going to be very, very difficult. Do bear in mind that I have a win-lose ratio of 3. And yeah, obviously you need to win some more, but surely you would be earning a lot more, given the fact that I did do 4 in a row, and that only got up to like private 2, and then only about up to here, and you needed like 6 wins to even progress further. And obviously this is based on ELO, or it seems to be based on ELO, so I guess the higher the opponent that you beat, so for example if you were like a level 80 to beat a level 1000, then I guess you're more likely to actually triumph and get more of your rank through the ranked things. Then again though, it's not actually clear how ELO actually works, because when Below Natural publicly said that ELO would be public to people, he didn't make it public because we can't see our ELO scores, for example. And from what I've heard from some people, ELO is currently broken. So all I have to say is maybe it's levels that determine how many ranks you get or whatever. Because it's not super clear at the end of each game how much like points you get towards your rank. And it's not like clear how much you need to get to like rank 3, for example, or general 3. So while I would like to say that you need a certain amount of ELO to get Private 3, Sergeant 3, or Lieutenant 3, and you need this certain amount of wins to get to these levels, it's not very clear. And also, yes, the game also tracks the amount of enemies that you've killed and the amount of enemies that you sent. However, the amount of enemies that you killed is going to be the amount of enemies that you and your partner killed in 2v2s, and obviously the only amounts that you killed in 1v1s, and also the amount of enemies that you sent, 3,759, that's obviously individual towards you. Now obviously, to join a 2v2 match with the other person that you want to be on your team, you have to join their team. I mean, that's pretty obvious. To do this, you just need to invite them to your party and then go through 2v2, and then once there's like another person or other people join the rank lobby, then you two would be paired up guaranteed, whereas the other two may just be from another party, or they could be random strangers that have been paired up to face you guys. Now, I heavily recommend that you do this with another person if you're doing 2v2. If you're 1v1 and you think that you can beat everyone, then sure, be my guest, go ahead. However, what I'm not entirely sure about is what happens, right, if you were to invite another person, they were to join your party as such there, and then you were to join a 1v1. Does that actually mean that you are getting to 1v1? No, you can't. So if I was to go to casual and do that, yes, you can do that. So it looks like you cannot manipulate ranked matches so that you can face like a lower ranked person on purpose. You can probably face a lower ranked person unintentionally, I guess, if through matchmaking you were to get that person. However, you cannot purposely manipulate it so that you face off with a lower ranked person and then grind that out continuously. It does look like any bots that are grinding out any PvP matches. I mean, I guess you can do that with like casual matches and just get the other person and just restart over and over again. But it doesn't seem likely that, and in fact it probably is impossible, to manipulate the odds so that you're facing off with like an ult, for example, as I'm doing here, and then just doing that over and over again. Also, there's a new card here that says switch to PvP and PvE. Okay, very cool. So you can actually see the total rank that you have, but also the amount of wins that you have, the amount of losses that you have. Okay, that's pretty cool, I guess. And like other people can see that, which is kind of cool as well. Also, I can't lie, this card is more up to date than this card because you can see that it's using my username here, plus the verified check mark, whereas here, it's not at all. Also, it looks like the EXP rewards and the coins reward, they're based on the amount of waves that you did, rather than if you triumph or not. I do believe that the triumph rewards and the loser rewards are the same as each other. I'll have to check. And it looks like they're the same between any ranked matches and any casual matches. So there's no difference in the amount of EXP and the amount of coins that you get between casual and PvP ranked matches. And I can confirm that the amount of EXP and the amount of coins you get is the same on my alt, as this is the same for my main account. However, do bear in mind that my main account has VIP Plus, meaning that my rewards are boosted. Also, do bear in mind that you can't restart the match, so you can't like rematch to guys that you just beat, for example. But also, if you try and return to the lobby from PvP mode, it actually now works. Previously, it didn't actually work, but the developers have now fixed it. Another point to note is that if you were to get wins in PvP mode or any losses in PvP mode, they don't actually contribute to the things shown off here. And any wins before the developers fixed it do not contribute to this stat here as well. I used to have Private 2, which looked like this. So I have to assume that these people here, the first 45, they actually managed to get up to, what, at least Sergeant 1, and everyone below here is Private 1. The only problem is we can't really see how many wins they have and how many losses they have. And maybe what's happened here is that these are the first 45 people to like beat PvP mode, and the amount of wins they have and the amount of losses they have aren't being tracked, hence why they're quite high up. Because here, it doesn't make sense why this person with 7 wins and 1 loss is ranked above someone with 8 wins and 0 losses. So like in my mind, there's always going to be people who cannot get to like General 3 or like all the General 3 rewards because they keep losing matches. Either that or they keep quitting before they lose the matches, hence why, you know, they didn't get through the ranks. Also, I do think that, oh, firstly, most popular, fair enough, more people playing PvP mode than survival mode. But I do think if you were to quit your match before you were to load in and before you start banning towers, I do think it kind of cancels everything out and you don't actually get punished for that. It gives you an option to rejoin, and if someone were to leave right now, right, then it actually would cancel the game out. So I do believe after you start the game, after you quit, you do get punished. That being said though, looking at the profile cards here, people losing 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses. Was it 2 wins, 0 losses, and I have 7 wins, 2 losses. Yeah, we're all still the same rank, private 1. Oh, and also some things have changed in PvP mode. So some towers are weaker and some towers are stronger. Like for example, I believe the military base is somewhat stronger and the brawler has been nerfed compared to what it is in player versus environment. Okay, so I wasn't even trying, and I think we are about to win. This person speaking in Korean, which, to be fair, I don't understand. So, sorry, my guy. It's purely for educational reasons. I hope you understand. Very cool. Right. So, 71 EXP, 165 coins. Right. Does my ranked change? And how much does it change by, given the fact that the other people here were, they were like 2 for 2, right? It doesn't look like it changes too much. Now, I would assume that the developers are going to modify around the things so that it actually does contribute, because that seems a little bit unfair that I got wins in ranked matches and it barely, if even noticeably, increases. So I don't know what's going on there. Oh, and a quick aside, turns out this is the leaderboard is probably broken and probably not based on elo rankings. Then again though, some people do appear to be Sergeant 1 at the very least, so I'm not entirely sure if I can comment on that. However, I'm not the only person to actually not be able to progress. It seems as if once you lose a ranked match or you quit a ranked match, you are unable to increase the amount of, I don't know what is EXP, I guess, for the season pass, meaning that you are able to lose your season pass by, I don't know, by progressively going down because you either quit the game or you lose games, but you're unable to go up because apparently after you lose your first ever ranked PvP match, you get nothing more, which I find a little unfair. And even if the developers were to fix it, so like, I think 4 of my wins would be not contributing to this, which I find extremely unfair. However, to be fair, I don't really know what the developers can do about it, apart from like fix it. So at the time of recording, this is broken. I assume the developers will fix it either when I upload my video or before that. So if this video is out of date, then fair enough. But at least at the time of recording this video, PvP wins after you lose your first ever PvP match, ranked PvP match, or you were to quit your PvP match, then they don't contribute to your rank. So yeah, after you lose your first PvP match, yeah, I guess you should quit PvP mode, I guess.